Joining me here once again on the Rich Eisen Show, my colleague from the NFL Media Group, none other than Ian Rapoport, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing better than Urban Meyer.
Dude, man. So let's jump into it. Let's just jump into it.
Would you like to talk about that today?
Yeah, you know what? So was it the Josh Lambo? Was he the last straw? Is that what this was?
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, technically it was because it was the last thing that happened. I felt like the wheels were in motion anyway. Now, maybe the Jaguars caught wind of the they commented on the Josh Lambo story before it was published, so maybe they knew it was happening. But I was at the owners' meeting in Dallas,
Yes.
and I sort of sensed something was happening before then, just talking to people in the organization. When Judy Batista got Shad Khan, he said, stay tuned. We weren't sure if he meant COVID changes or urban changes, but stay tuned was kind of like, okay, that's interesting. But anyway, so I think once the Tom Pelissero story hit, and it was basically, sometimes these sort of explosive bombshells hit and then everyone denies everything. The denials were not even really denials. It was kind of yeah, this happened, but maybe we saw it in a different way. That's what they were. And then the Lambeau thing came out, and there was a denial in that story, but also far-fetched and hard to believe. I think what was going to happen for the Jaguars was these were just going to come forever. I was already working on something for Sunday on Urban Meyer, just on the dysfunction more. I mean, it was, and I'm sure everybody else was too. It was all going to keep coming. Firing him now made sense, if only just to end the story and move on with the rest of our lives.
Well, if you're not going to use it for game day morning, you might have used it on a Thursday edition of the Rich Eisen Show, Ian. I mean, because it's all going to come. Honestly, it's still newsworthy. It's still just because he's been fired doesn't mean that the level of the way things were being dysfunctionally run is not newsworthy. You got something for me?
No, that's true. I'll properly vet it. Maybe we'll talk about it on Sunday. But I think the main thing is, there was so many missteps. It's almost unfathomable. He hired an outwardly racist strength coach, and I talked to someone else today who interviewed with him, and in that interview, Urban defended the hiring of Chris Doyle to that person in the interview. So it's not made a mistake, didn't realize Chris Doyle was it's he thought that was a really good move. Delusional. Absolutely. He thought Tim Tebow was a good signing. 5 years after he'd been in the NFL at a new position, just because Tebow could help him with the locker room and kind of be his guy on the inside. Who thinks that's a good idea? There was so many unbelievable missteps. And I'm not even sure how great of a coach he is. The football looked really bad too,
Well, the thing that it just, again, for somebody who was totally, known widely, industry-wide, as the CEO coach, right? He knows exactly what everything's going on. This past week, safety Andre Sisco looks like he's going to play more snaps. Coach, yes, no? And he's just he's been out there a lot more. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and he had 0 snaps. 0. And it's just what's up with that?
Honestly, Rich,
how does it happen? Yeah.
That's when I knew he was getting fired. That right there, I knew he was getting fired, and I started working on it and looking at it. I mean, you knew, because he was so disengaged. He was so clueless. He didn't know his players. He obviously didn't care. I mean, I shouldn't say that. The handshake with Vrabel was when I was all right, this thing is ending pretty quickly. But
why?
Why?
Seriously, why?
I knew.
Why?
Disinterested. It looked like he didn't care. I mean, body language is real. Urban Meyer wanted to be literally anywhere else in the world besides shaking Mike Vrabel's hand on the 50-yard line. He was done.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. What next then? What happens now, do you think? For both Urban, Jacksonville. Start with Jacksonville. What do you think's next?
We'll start with Jacksonville. Hopefully hire a better coach.
No. Yes. That said, what do you think? What do you think?
First of all, this is just my opinion. I am annoyed that people are saying they need to hire the best offensive coach. it makes no sense to me.
Why?
Belichick, Carroll, Tomlin, best coaches in the NFL, a lot of them are defensive guys. Just hire the best leader. You can get a coordinator to like scheme it up and make Trevor Lawrence better. You can get a personal quarterback coach who only does quarterback stuff to follow him around and make sure that he has good fundamentals. Like, hire someone to lead your organization. Whatever Urban Meyer was supposed to be, hire someone who actually is. And to me, I mean, that's an obvious one. And you know, I don't know which direction it's going to go, but there are some good leaders out there. And some of them, you know, they interviewed some good ones last time. And Robert Saleh was interviewed last time. Eric Bieniemy was interviewed last time. You know, depending on how that interview went, I'd be curious if he got another interview. Byron Leftwich was a former Jaguars quarterback.
Yep.
He is a coordinator of a pretty good football team and has earned the respect of a pretty good quarterback, and is a leader because he's a leader and because he played quarterback. I mean, those are some names too. I would say college names, probably not.
Of course not. I mean, there's no way they go into college names. I mean, that they've already tried that with the most successful guy, and you know, and I, with all due respect to other college names that could be coming out, I'm Shad Khan. I'm like, I don't even want to hear that right now. I'm going with somebody who doesn't need training wheels in the NFL. Somebody who knows how, perfect example, as you said, to be a leader of the organization. Everything that Urban wasn't, I want someone who is. But I definitely want someone who's that on offense. I got to have that for Trevor Lawrence. And I know you just mentioned some great names who aren't supposedly offensive guys. John Harbaugh's another one, right? Comes from the special teams world.
Yeah.
Sean McVay is all of that with the Rams, and he turned Jared Goff into what I needed him to turn him into. And that's what I want. I want somebody who can do that, whether it's Bieniemy because he saw he did that with Mahomes, or whether it's McDaniels because look what he's doing with Mac Jones, for crying out loud, right now. And I know that they have another system that doesn't look like Jacksonville's, but, you know, Daboll, maybe with what he's done with Josh Allen, you know, those are the guys that I'm targeting right now. And Leftwich, obviously, you know, would know what to do with somebody as talented as Trevor Lawrence, because, and I'm not going to discount him because he doesn't have a rookie. He's got a guy who's very particular, I would imagine, in what he likes to do, and he's totally made it work with not only the quarterback but the coach, who knows he's very particular in what he likes to do. What Leftwich has done is remarkable. So those were the names I look at, you know?
Leftwich makes a lot of sense, and I think he would probably want it. Josh, I guess let's go down the Josh McDaniels road.
Yes, sir.
I personally think he will be a very good head coach the second time around. I thought he showed signs of being a good head coach the first time around, and then he got involved in personnel and he made a couple dumb moves, and I think it was all too big for him at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, do you think Josh would want it? Like, it is an organization that has had struggles all the way through.
Yeah, you know, I heard that too, but the Jacksonville Jaguars were one Stephon Gilmore batted pass away from making the Super Bowl, man, with Doug Marrone and a guy who Belichick told the Khan family to hire, you know, as their full-time. So, you know, it hasn't been all terrible with the Khan family in charge at all. And the Khan family, just look at AEW. They know how to turn something new into gold, like platinum. I mean, whatever the most valuable metal is. So they're not clueless. And there's no state tax. It's Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I'd kind of jump on that right now. And looks like you might have the second overall pick. You could get, you know, Hutchinson if the Lions go with Thibodeau, or vice versa. I mean, you can get a really good defensive player atop this draft and go with Trevor Lawrence and ATN coming back. I don't know. I think this is attractive.
When there's nothing, when Bill Belichick is advising his people, and I don't just mean Patriots people, Belichick actually talks to a lot of candidates in all over you know, he's actually very influential in the NFL all over the place. Nothing is more important than the owner. Nothing. And, you know, if you're Josh McDaniels, like, I mean, there's definitely some things to like. Is it perfect? I would not think so. Facilities aren't good. The weather is probably pretty good. They got some good fried fish down there, which I like. But here's the other thing. I'm going to be so interested, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to be so interested what everybody thinks of Trevor Lawrence after having watched him for a year. And whether they blame Urban for his struggles or if they still think of him as the number one pick talent. Like, that evaluation is going to be really interesting.
Wow. I mean, how about this? I'll take him off their hands. You know, I mean, come on. Look, you know how it works, that there's generationally talented players, and there still is the nature part of it and the nurture part of it, regardless of how talented these people are. Okay? I mean, that's a fact. And there seems to be, you even pointed out again, Ian Rapoport from NFL Network here on the Rich Eisen Show, you pointed out that you had something in the chute that you're still vetting about what's going on in Jacksonville, or what has gone on in Jacksonville on Sunday. We're probably only knowing about, 30% of it? And so this kid's growing up with that? Like, this kid has to spend, like, what rookie quarterback in our memory, certainly first overall, had to, during an actual football game, okay, during the live action of a football game in regular season, the NFL, had to go up to his coach and say, "Where's my running back? How come he's not on the field?" You know?
I still cannot believe that is an unbelievable situation.
Right. So how can he be evaluated?
What are we doing?
Right. That's what I'm saying. How can he properly be fully evaluated as a quarterback?
That's a good rebuttal. I get it. But there is the on-field product. And, like, you know, the owner and the quarterback are so important. And I mean, Trevor has a lot of talent, so somebody will be so. I'm just saying it has been a rough year at quarterback for the Jaguars. And I'm going to be really interested in, especially if you have someone who has multiple opportunities, what they think of this job overall.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. Now, what's next for Urban? Is it some legal fight? What's going on? Is there a settlement? What is it? Because, you know, there's a lot of reasons where you can fire him and try and maybe not pay him his full amount. The question is are they timely enough to be able to do it right here, right now, as of December 15th when they fired him, or 16th, depending on what time of night it was? What do you think?
I don't. First of all, I don't know the answer to that. Okay. I'm going to try to find out, but I do not know.
Okay.
Hard for me to imagine that they paid him all of it. Like, I guess anything's possible, but hard to imagine. Because there's so many different times you could fire him for cause. You know, at least 2, which is a lot. 2 is more than most.
But one happened in August and one happened in October, and this is the middle of December. Right? I mean, I'm not a legal expert.
Oh, yeah, you're right. August, right?
Yeah, the kicking of the kicker, and then the not going on the team plane and getting caught on Twitter at your local establishment. I can't believe I'm saying these words, man. I can't, honestly.
That's crazy.
It's just I can't believe it.
That's crazy.
But you know what I'm saying? That's why I ask about, because, you know.
I mean, well, hold on a second, though. Which of these things is more ridiculous? I would go through the list. Signing Tim Tebow at like 34 to be a tight end.
I know, but that
hiring an allegedly racist special teams coach when he was a pariah. Benching one of the best running backs in the NFL because he fumbled. Not going on the team plane so you could dance with a woman who is not your wife. And then be totally fine as social media films all of it, which is an unbelievable lack of awareness. Kicking a kicker. The only thing you need a kicker for is his leg. And why in the world would you kick anyone, let alone a kicker? At least punch him in the arm.
But Ian, too, how about just the preseason when he said there was an open competition at quarterback costing Trevor Lawrence first-team reps when you knew he was going to be the starter the whole time?
How about caring about preseason? He told his assistants he wanted to win games because he was upset about losing in the preseason.
That is nuts. I honestly, but then again, that was my point, and that has been my point this entire time. Is, you know, the question coming in is how will he do? Is how will he handle the losing, right? And so he handled the losing in professional football the way that it appears he would handle losing in college, except, you know, he didn't have to employ that losing reaction except once a year, if not once in 2 years sometimes. And this is a once a week thing, and that is not the way you go. So I would think he would know, hey, going into this, I might lose more times this year than I would lose at Ohio State the entire time. So I'm going to have this reaction. I'm going to have that plan and all whatever. He just was just going with his id, man, and that just didn't work at all. That's just obvious. So long story short, though, is what is next for him? Do you think he's done coaching? I think he's going to go to college at some point after a stint on television somewhere. But what do you think? What's your general sense, or what you might already be hearing, or we're still all just stuck in the what just happened of Urban right now? What do you think, Ian?
I mean, I hope nobody hires him on TV. I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah.
It'll probably take a year or two. I think I imagine he will get a college job. I imagine he would get a very good college job. I don't know why he would want one. I don't know why he wanted this one. I don't know. I don't know. It's all. He should not be back. He should go work on his family and just do that stuff. But I'm sure he will resurface. I'm sure he'll get a great college job, and I'm sure he'll win a bunch of games. I do not think he will be back in the NFL.
So before I let you go, now that there's this rule that you can interview candidates for head coach from other teams within the playing season, that's the first time we've seen that. Yep. Do you think we'll see some other interim head coaches in the near term here in the NFL, Ian?
Yeah, I really do. And I guess it's good, because if you're going to move on, just do it, right? Like, there's no reason to. I mean, honestly, like, if you're having if you're firing your coach, we've seen him plenty of times. Like last year, we knew Adam Gase was getting fired for a long time, and he coached the whole season. Like, I get it, but like, why, right? So just move on, cut ties, and then you can start the process. And what I do expect, though, is now you have two teams that can start the process. Other teams are going to feel like they're behind, and I would imagine they react to that as well.
Who are those teams? You want to help identify what you're thinking, what you're hearing, Ian?
Well, I mean, we know some of the teams that have coaches who need to win to stay employed. I think the Bears would certainly be one of those teams. The Vikings are a team who I think you'd like Zimmer to win, maybe win some games and keep winning. I mean, part of the problem, though, Rich, is like everyone's bunched up, so like theoretically, like the Vikings could make the playoffs, or they could go the other way.
Right.
It's a weird year because everyone's so close, but I imagine this will play itself out over the next little bit.
Ian Rapoport, thank you, sir. You be well. We'll chat on Sunday, obviously.
Right.
Have a good one, brother.
Look forward to it, Rich. Take care.
At Rap Sheet, I follow him. You should too. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.